Awesome. Well, we hope you all are joining us from fun and interesting locations. Feel free to pop in the chat where you're calling in from. I am calling in from Boston. My name is Madison, and I am a community manager for MassChallenge. I am based in Boston, but work across our New England ecosystem in Boston, Rhode Island, as well as all of our US-based programs and even spanning internationally. Looks like we've got some great representation, but Rachel, where are you calling in from?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel. I'm the program manager for MassChallenge US Early Stage. So you will get very familiar with seeing me around, but I love people and I try to bring as much energy as possible. I am calling you from Providence, Rhode Island. Lovely, quaint little Providence. I live here and I work mainly out of the MassChallenge Providence office that we have here, though I do visit Madison at least once a week in the Boston office as well. If any of you are in New England, you know it's pretty easy to get around places here. I love it. Jermaine, I don't know where exactly you're calling from, but I know it's in a phone booth, isn't it?
That's right.
Why do you all look the same?
I'm in a phone booth right now too, Jermaine, so I'm with you. Mine's just a little blurred, so it looks more like a one of those old-fashioned school photo backgrounds. Well, we are so excited that you all have joined us from all over. It looks like the US. I don't see anyone international quite yet, but we're really thrilled that you've joined us here today. And Rachel and I will share with you a little bit about our US early stage programs and what we do here at MassChallenge. And then we'll save some time at the end for any questions that you might have. You're welcome to keep your audio and your video on or off, whatever you prefer. We ask that your audio is off during the presentation unless you have a question, but feel free to turn your video on. We'd love to see your face if you are able and willing to do so. But let's just dive right in and tell you a little bit more about MassChallenge. So who is MassChallenge? MassChallenge is the global network for innovators. Founded in 2009, we equip bold entrepreneurs to disrupt the status quo and to create sustainable change. Through our nonprofit zero equity model, we support more than 500 startups each year, all from different industries in all corners of the world, across 8 locations and 10 different programs. MassChallenge's programs and accelerators are the most efficient pathway to connect founders, experts, corporate innovators, and communities to grow and transform business and economies. And you can see from this map a little bit about our traction and how we have grown from starting in Massachusetts and Boston originally, all over the world to have this really global reach that also has these local focal points across our 8 locations.
Madison, I think we should tell them what MassChallenge stands for, though, because it's not probably what everyone expects.
I think we're right. You go for it, Rachel.
Okay, so MassChallenge, y'all, though we did champion ourselves and put our feet in the ground in Boston, Massachusetts as our first program, it does not stand for Massachusetts Challenge. It stands for the massive challenge that entrepreneurs face in building their business. So that's a good fun fact to pull out at any MassChallenge event that you go to. You are all in on the knowledge now.
I still think our founders had a motive there with that, but Rachel is right, massive challenges. Awesome. And I want to tell you a little bit more about what MassChallenge does as the network for all innovators. If Jason, if you want to switch to the next slide here. We believe that innovation is strongest when it is diverse and inclusive. And this is why we work to ensure diverse participation across our global network, whether it's measured by founder, funding, geography, industry. This is because we believe that the power of entrepreneurship has yet to be fully unlocked. And so we are on a mission to build diversity, equity, and inclusion into the DNA of the innovation economy. And for those of you who've been around in the innovation economy for a while, you know that this has not always traditionally been the case. And our commitment has intentional initiatives and measurable goals behind them, so we can make sure that we are being focused on this effort and that our actions are reflective of that. And consistent with our value of transparency, we've provided a demographic breakdown across geography, gender, race, and industry from our 2021 early stage cohort that you can see here. And we welcome and really, in fact, we seek founders, experts, and corporate innovators from all walks of life, all experiences, and global geographies to join our network because we know that the breakthrough of innovation will come at conventional and unconventional founders and is definitely not constrained to Silicon Valley and other major hubs that innovation has traditionally been found. Awesome. And founder benefits too. It's important that founders are strategic about where they spend their time and energy. So let me tell you why founders chose and continuously choose to join Mass Challenge. Sure, we offer curriculum and workshops, and our in-kind deals are awesome. But the real benefit comes from these three unique pillars that make up the Mass Challenge methodology. Mass Challenge is the global network for innovators working to solve massive challenges. And this means that joining Mass Challenge isn't just about the 4-month program. It's really about gaining access to a connected network of peers, customers, capital, expertise, and the talent that is valuable to you and your company over the long term. Our community is built by peer entrepreneurs, Mass Challenge alumni, and mentors and experts, some even from our Fortune 500 organizations that we work with. And I directly get to work with a lot of those community organizations through my role at Mass Challenge. And I can say they are absolutely brilliant and willing to help wherever they can share their knowledge. And our focus is hyper facilitation as a key enabler of growth that allows startups to personalize the Mass Challenge experience and results to them and what they need at the stage that they are at. At Mass Challenge, founders take advantage of a proven, outcome driven methodology that creates value during the startup lifecycle without requiring a financial stake in the success of the business. Here at Mass Challenge, your success is your own. We don't take equity, we don't even have an application fee. So we really want to see you all grow, thrive, and succeed in whatever way you need during our program. And I'll hand it over to Rachel to talk a little bit more about this year's program and the early stage program specifically.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madison. Jason, you can click ahead. Perfect. All right, team. So, I'm program manager. So that means I get to work with startups like yourself every single day. And it is a total pleasure and honor. And I know why you really came to this info session was to dive into everything about what it really means to be a part of the early stage accelerator. So just to give you a little bit of a high level taste of this information, let's dive into startup eligibility and the program itself. So what we're really looking for at Mass Challenge is high impact early stage startups. You might have come across a lot of definitions of early stage. I think everyone has a slightly different concept of it. But what we mean when we say we're looking for early stage startups is those businesses who have raised less than 1 million USD in equity-based funding and also generate less than 2 million in revenue. However, our Mass Challenge early stage program is industry agnostic. If you meet those criteria, you can be in any industry. You can also be anywhere in the world to take part in our early stage program. We really try to create the most vast curriculum so that it makes sense for you no matter what industry, what area you're coming from. And believe me, our community that Madison leads spreads pretty widely as well to make sure that we have the resources for you no matter where you're coming from. Three of the key themes that we work for when we're doing our early stage program is goal setting, access to curated mentors, and also support from a peer network. There's nothing like being with other startups who are in your same shoes and just get what you're doing, right? So through all of our programs, particularly early stage, those are three of the key themes that we really hone in on. This year's program, by the way, is going to be completely virtual with optional in-person opportunities, depending upon where you are in the world and if you're close to a Mass Challenge office space. Actually, that's where that connection is. However, this allows us to have a global and diverse group of startups engaging in it, and we have found that the more perspectives and experiences we can bring to the early stage program, the more wholesome and thoughtful and intentional it really is. So we're excited to continue doing virtual programs. And what I mean when I say the virtual program, think live streamed curriculum, so live speakers on Zooms or Zoom webinars with you, smaller working groups with peer founders, as well as experts and alumni, virtual events. I happen to know we're doing happy hours every Wednesday that I will be leading that I'm very excited about, and also one-on-one one-on-one mentorship. Much of that will happen over Zoom between all of our early stage companies and our mentors. So what I mentioned about the in-person side of things, founders who are located in cities where we have offices, which is mainly New England and Texas, for those of you who might be wondering. And if you're willing to travel to one of those locations, you can apply for the residency program to get free office space to work out of. Founders will also have the option to participate in what we're calling market access programs during the month of October specifically. Don't worry, we'll get more into all of this coming up soon. And finally, just if you're kind of curious as far as what specialized programming looks like, again, early stage, it's industry agnostic, but we do create more specialized track programs. And we have 3 specific tracks that we are running this year. This allows for a little bit more exclusive resources and curriculum to be made on our track themes. That was the word I was thinking of. I just lost it for a second. And we can dive into those because there are some 3 good ones that I bet some of you might actually align with here as well. Let's flip to the next slide. Beautiful. What we also offer, being in our early stage program, is our MassChallenge partners and sponsors. Just as it takes a village to build a startup, as you all know, it takes a village to build a MassChallenge early stage program. And we rely very heavily on our fantastic partners and sponsors who allow us to really build these programs and make it the most valuable and resourceful experience for all of our startups going through it. But how that actually looks like as value for yourself is that we at MassChallenge will facilitate exposure for our startups looking to collaborate with these corporate enterprises that we work with. So you can see a list of some of the quick opportunities that we'll have for you to connect directly with our partners and our sponsors. This includes pitch events, demo days, office hour sessions, access to different resources, discounted services, as well as innovation strategy overviews. So there will be a lot of points during the length of the early stage program that you will be able to really get to know our partners and our sponsors, get to hear what challenges they are facing in their industries, and being able to see how your innovation might be able to play a role in their corporate success. But that also just makes a really strategic exposure opportunity for yourself as well. Amazing. Shifting forward. Next up, we have our results. So you're probably wondering, this all sounds great. Early stage program, it's an accelerator program, cool. What does that really mean for me? Well, not to pat ourselves on the back here, but MassChallenge makes sure that we are doing really intentional programming, making sure it is really data driven. And for us, that means having really fantastic results to be able to show you. So we have over 3,000 alumni in our community to date. These are alumni that we also pull in for upcoming opportunities that our current cohort members will be able to network with and kind of get their really sound advice. 48% of MassChallenge startups have at least one female founder, and we continue to want to strive to increase our diversity across the board, but it's a number that we are proud of and proud to see continue to grow with all of your help here. And then also, as far as the advantage that we have that we would love to share with you all, this is a process that we know works and has actually been done by independent research through our MIT fellow that we work with. So for those startups who go through MassChallenge, they are 3 times more likely to have at least 15 employees work for their company, and they are 2.5 times more likely to raise at least $500,000 through their fundraising journey. So those are some really cool but pretty fantastic results that we've been able to drive and be able to kind of support our entrepreneurs in finding, and we hope that we can do the same for you here as well.
I want to add too, the U.S. early stage program is a 4-month program, but this key part of alumni is a huge part of our community that we still continue to work with. 4 months is a really quick time, and we know that you'll make great strides within those 4-month periods. But at MassChallenge, we continue supporting you throughout your entrepreneurial journey. We keep in touch and continue to celebrate your wins and find ways to continue connecting you with opportunities, with investors, with potential customers, speakers, whatever it may be that you need as an alum. We still provide a resource bank, connection, and opportunities to continue connecting even beyond the program.
which I think lends itself really beautifully into our next slide, which is all about the fact that MassChallenge is here to build lasting connections with startups, with you, amongst you all as cohort members, as alumni, to our full expert community that we have, all of our corporate partners. It's really one big community at MassChallenge, right? And our programs have access to all of that we can offer them. We aim to create measurable impact and enduring relationships with startups going through our program. And hopefully we'll be able to see that happen for some of you here. These are direct quotes from some of our past alumni who have gone through. Definitely don't need to read these out loud, but it's just a lovely reminder of the fact that MassChallenge, it works for startups, right? It works for them when they go through the program and they are really intentional in the engagement that they go through. Amazing. So shifting on to what does it really mean to be a part of the early stage program? So we're going to chat a little bit about expectations as far as engagement, time commitment goes, share some more details to what we might have alluded to in the past few slides, just making sure that you feel really prepared and aware of what this program actually really looks like, because we know this might not even be your first accelerator program, right? But each one that you go through is slightly different. So this is the MassChallenge methodology. Let's go ahead and skip to the next. Perfect. So program expectations. What engagement do we expect out of our early stage startups? Pretty simple. First off, it's to commit to the founder's code. The founder's code for us means that you set and drive towards goals aligned with business value creation, that you practice intention in everyday engagement, and that you're an accountable member of the community for yourself and for others. This means completion of all our accelerator surveys. Surveys act as a great reflection point for you to be able to see how far you've come and how much left you have to go in order to reach those goals. It also allows us to build better programs that support you as our startups a little bit better with all of your feedback and support you give us through those. And finally, virtual attendance to orientation is a mandatory exercise. You got to get oriented to everything that happens during the first 4 months, and we do all of that during the week of July 11th. And I will be able to share exactly what that looks like coming up soon. But frankly, at the end of the day, to be a little bit candid with you here, you get out of the MassChallenge Accelerator what you put into it. We don't require 100% attendance to everything, but rather we ask startups to commit to maximizing the ROI of the program by building and following through on intentional engagement. It's a big headline for us, intentional engagement. So that means going to the workshops, chatting with our speakers, working with as many mentors as you possibly can, going to the events, even if they are just kind of optional happy hours. I believe in the spontaneity of a lot of things, and you never know what could happen from going to something that maybe you didn't think you had the time for, or you have to squeeze into. You could meet your next investor. You could maybe be looking for a new co-founder of a business and meet someone at a MassChallenge event that we're doing in one of our office locations. You really never know. So the best way to kind of go about thinking of this is you get what you put into it. So we just ask that you be really intentionally engaged going through our early stage program. As far as the really specific program time commitments, this is what you can expect in regards to your time during the first 3 months specifically of the program. So you can see on the slide, July 11th through September 23rd. What this looks like is 3 days of orientation at 90 minutes a day. There's also some optional networking fun sessions that we'll have so everyone gets to know each other a little bit better. We're doing all of our curriculum sessions on 3 days of the week. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You can count on those being curriculum days. It's about 2 hours per day on average is kind of the length if you wanted to put a time limit to it. It's a little bit harder to kind of figure out, but it's a good estimate to help you kind of build the foundation. Curriculum sessions include live speakers, workshop sessions. We're doing small themed roundtables this year so you can dive into ideas and feedback together, as well as virtual events. And 1 day a week, there's going to be open office hours for programming sessions. Think it's like live customer service on a Zoom. These you don't need to attend unless you have a question. And if you do, you pop in, you ask your question, and then you can pop right out again. So definitely not something that you need to commit to, but just know it's a resource available for you. There's also going to be optional virtual networking and social events throughout the program. You can probably tell from the energy I bring that I love doing things like that. So we'll definitely make sure to include those, as well as ad hoc meetings with mentors. Mentors is a really good thing that I want to also encourage you all here too. We have some of our startups and past early stage programs that work with one mentor. We have some that work with 4+ mentors during the program. It's really an opportunity for you to explore what your time commitment to that will be. But our mentors are fantastic experts. They are here for you. They have committed to supporting our early stage startups. So it's a really great time commitment for you to be able to make. We will never be in a position to say you're meeting with your mentor every single week at this day at this time. That is between you and the mentor fully. We can just highly encourage that you do that as often as possible and set a cadence that really works for you with as many mentors that work for you. What else that we have here is that the first 3 months of the program, as you can kind of see in this high level schedule, is July through September. That's the focus on the virtual curriculum side of things. The last month of the program, October, will be in person through our new market access program. So I'm going to shift to the next slide, and then I'm going to hand the mic back over to Madison, who is leading a lot of our market access work.
Listen, before I dive too deep into the market access work, we have had a few questions about the curriculum and the time commitment that have popped in the chat that I think we can answer live before we move on to the next topic. Um, we had a few questions about, will the sessions be recorded in case they need to skip or catch up on another one? Rachel, do you want to tackle that one live?
The answer is the most important sessions will be recorded. Of course, we can't record happy hours and situations like that. But when it comes to more of our curriculum, the live speakers, the workshops, situations like that, those will be recorded and available for you kind of within a really good timeline that works. Probably within a week of those being live, you would have access to a recorded version of it. So you can always catch up pretty quickly with us.
And because we record a lot too, we have recorded sessions from previous years and previous programs as well. So if there's a particular topic that you're looking to dive deeper in, you have access to a database of previously recorded content that you can watch at your leisure and at your time. And a big part of this is we know that not all founders are able to commit full time or during the times of our programs to the MassChallenge program. So this is a way to enable you to be able to watch the content and be involved and reap the benefits of the program if you aren't able to attend that live. And that actually leads me into the next question that popped up in the chat too about the timing of our programming. Do they tend to be skewed towards Eastern time? The answer is yes, but no. We take into account international time zones as much as possible. So not all programming will be simply based on Eastern time, although because many of our speakers and our staff do operate on Eastern and Central time, they do tend to be more friendly to those time zones. We do keep in mind international locations as a part of that, and we try our best to find times that are maybe middle of the day Eastern time that are friendlier to West Coast and friendlier to those across the ocean from us. But it is not always a guarantee, which is another reason why we record those sessions.
And Madison, I see one final question remaining before we switch over to market access from Daniel. Are the cohorts limited to a certain number of startups? So yes, in fact, Daniel, they are. We would love to be able to take every single startup who comes our way and who applies, and hopefully at some point in our lifetime, we will be able to expand our reach. For the 2022 program, we are taking right around the 250 mark on startups, which is why we ask that not only do you think about intentional engagement when it comes to the program, we ask that you think about intentionality when it comes to your application as well, because there is that process of round 1 and round 2 judging, so 2 separate rounds that your application will go through. And because we have to be really specific on who comes into the cohort, the more time, the more thought and energy you can put into your application to really share the most holistic, best image of yourself, the better. But I believe there is actually a Meet MC session coming up in the next few weeks on applications, but we will get to that in a little bit on.
Awesome. And if you also have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. And let's dive into this MassChallenge Market Access Program. So this is something new that we are introducing this year. As Rachel mentioned, our programs are virtual in terms of all curriculum with these optional in-person components. And this is stemming from the idea that any founder from anywhere is looking for access to the resources that we provide through our program, but there is such power to the local communities that we've built in our five US based office locations and innovation hubs. And so this program will take place in October, which is the later half of the US early stage program. And during this, we will host in person market access events that startups from the early stage program can attend. And this is a unique opportunity for startups to receive specialized introductions through meetings or networking events, as well as opportunities to meet other investors, corporate partners, relevant government stakeholders, key community partners, angel networks, and more. And in this first year that we're hosting, as you can see, he needed specific dates in October for each program location to have these market access events. And these are a way for you to connect with the local industry experts according to that region. One example would be in Boston, we have a really big healthcare and life sciences focus. We have a pretty big clean energy presence. If you are looking to connect with local key players in the Boston ecosystem in those industries, or just Boston is an area that really is intriguing to you, you would be able to join us from October 17th to the 19th in person for events to really connect and get to know that local economy and set up meetings with those key players in the area. You can attend all five if you want. You can attend one or two, or you can attend none. It is entirely optional to you, but we hope that this is a new program and a new opportunity to connect you with our locally grounded network of support. And let's dive into what the next steps are for this program, for this cycle, um, with a timeline view. As you can tell, applications are open right now. Um, the application deadline is April 20th. So you would apply via our Accelerate platform on that date. And founders who do apply to our program will go through two rounds of judging. The first is an online application review, and the second is a virtual pitch in front of a live panel of judges. You can see from this timeline here that round one takes place April 11th through May 2nd. So it's to your advantage to get your application in early. And that's the round that is completely online, and our expert pool of judges will be reviewing your application, providing feedback, and rating you on different aspects of your application. Our round two judging will take place on June 1st through the 15th, and that would be that virtual pitch in front of that live panel. This year, MassChallenge participating founders and program alumni can also apply to compete for cash prize awards at the end of our 4-month program. This is a little different from in years past in case you have applied to our previous years. So after you've gone through the program, which takes place July 11th through September 23rd, is that key program element with the October focus on market access. In October, you would have the opportunity, October and November, you'd have the opportunity to apply for these cash prizes on an array of different spectrums based on the progress that you have made throughout the program and your trajectory to make real global sustainable impact across the world and in your industry. We do have an opportunity. I'm jumping back just a little bit because I realized I forgot to mention it in the initial timeline. We will have an opportunity for you to showcase your progress, showcase your startup and your innovative solutions at our showcase, which will happen on September 21st. And this is a great opportunity where we convene our entire community to learn more about what you all are doing and how you are doing it. So it packed next few months from this point of application all the way through to the application for the awards and zero equity cash prizes that we are so thrilled to be able to offer. If you have any questions, I know Bernadette just put in the chat more about how to apply and where to get involved. So we hope that you are ready to get started. You are feeling excited and amped up for the program that we have coming to you this year, and that you'll get started on your application soon. Rachel and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have now. So you're welcome to raise your hand, throw questions in the chat, come off mute. We are here for another 25 minutes to help answer any questions. Ah, yes, CK, I see your question and I will jump right in on that. So can we talk a little bit more about any in-kind benefits? Absolutely. MassChallenge works to curate a number of discounts, yes, AWS credits, um, and other services that are aimed at helping early stage entrepreneurs grow and scale your business. We offer major companies, Fortune 500 companies that offer discounts to startups to help alleviate the cost burden of gaining access to these services and platforms that you may need to grow and scale. HubSpot is one example. IBM is another example. There are IBM and Watson credits that we have available to you. UPS offers a suite of deals, discounts, and shipping perks. We have perks with BizGifter, which is a platform for branded swag and company attire. We have offers with different banks. We work with Brex for early stage credit card benefits and a number of other ones. We had over 50 last year, so I don't want to take up all the time naming them for you, but they're easy to access, and those that offer in-kind deals are also available to support and tell you more about each and every discount as well. And most of those are available to you. They're all available to you during the program, and most are also available to you as alumni as well. So if you're not quite ready for a certain perk or discounts at the time of the program, when you are ready, that perk will still be available to you. And just to address the question in the chat, there are no age limits tied to our programs. And CK, back on the in-kind deals benefits, unfortunately, we do not make those benefits public. So we do not have a list somewhere, but I'd be happy to share with you if there's a specific perk that you're looking to learn more about. I'd be happy to share more. And we also actively look for other deals and discounts that might be of benefit to startups that we might not have in our cohort currently, but that we might be able to provide later on.
Jermaine, I see you.
Jermaine,
Did you want to come off mute and share your question, which you also put in the chat, which we love?
Sure, yeah, I added in the chat, but how do you work with startups in different stages of the program? So I know early stage can be kind of vast in some ways, but at different stages, how do you connect with startups?
That is a fantastic question. So the best way that we actually go about this is something that we get really close and familiar with starting orientation week. So we have a methodology and a framework that we call the MC map. We take all of our early stage startup cohort members who go through the program through filling out this map process. And with everything that there is, it actually tells us at exactly what stage of early stage you are currently at. Once we have a little bit of a better understanding from you being able to fill that out and share that information with us, we can guide you in the form of recorded curriculum that we already have that's really specific on your stage. We can connect you to mentors who are also trained in our MC map to be able to help you in whatever specific lane you are. Let's use that term loosely there, because sometimes being in two different lanes at once is also possible for early stage startups, which we know well. Holistically, most of the live curriculum will be pretty expansive and makes sense no matter what type of early stage business and what level of early stage you're at. But we definitely provide some more personalized experiences once you fill out the map, connecting you to recordings, mentors, experts, even different in-kind deals that we have sometimes work better if you're at different stages of early stage. And we make that pretty clear around week 2 to week 3 of the program once we know you as a company a little bit better.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Daniel, I see that question that just came through. Do I have to be incorporated already, or can I do that during the challenge? Oh, I like the challenge. Never heard that before. You do not have to be incorporated already. I feel like we have a decent amount of startups who go through the program who are, and those also who are not. Thankfully, we do have experts in our network that we can connect you to if you aren't and looking to see what that process, what that timeline can and should look like for you. So it's actually a great goal to be able to set at the start of the program to say that once you are finished and have graduated into our alumni community, you have fully incorporated your business. So the short answer, no. The long answer, we would love to help you incorporate if that's not already a given. Amazing. I see your question, Salar, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Please feel free to share with me. Would you please explain about judgment criteria, such as IP assets related to the product or service, patents TM, or MVP maturity, or company startups? How do you judge these criteria? That is a great question. So our judging process is very rigorous. This is all done with our community of judges. I will say that MassChallenge staff members are not at all involved in this. We want our judges who have the most expertise to be able to share who they think are the most high impact, high potential startups to go through the program. We take our judges through a couple different trainings available to them. We take them first through a DEI and implicit bias training to make sure that everyone is being judged fairly and equitably across the board. We also take them through looking at our criteria list. It's a little less criteria and a little more kind of guiding sentiments as far as what sort of product and innovation do they have? What stage are they at? Well, how big is their team? Do they have the right advisors involved in this? Really, there's more guidelines around anything that we kind of instruct our judges through the process of really looking at your company and thinking, do they have the right things in place? Are they really where they're saying they're at in the application, and being able to judge that? There's not anything specific. We don't look to see if you have a particular IP. Some of our businesses will come through with an MVP. Some of them will be in the stages of building that MVP out. So when we say we really try to create a fair and open process, it really is, because the more perspectives we can kind of get into this, the broader our startup group will be and the more perspectives that each of them has. So that, I hope, answers your question. Madison, did you have any other additional thoughts on that?
There is one category that I think is really unique to MassChallenge for those of you who have applied to other accelerators in the past, and that is our focus on high impact, high potential startups. So one criteria that is less common for other accelerators and other programs is that we encourage our judges as they're reviewing applications to really think hard about the impact that you will have globally, locally, and within your industry. You don't have to hit all three of those, but that is one big criteria, because we really want to help support and help grow startups that are making global sustainable change. And as long as you are able to articulate that in a little bit of your application too, judges will be really interested to hear how you are doing that, which I think is less typical of an organization accelerator program. So definitely keep that aspect in mind.
Looks like we have a couple questions coming through in the chat still. So Jermaine, how many applicants are typical of the early stage program, and what industry is typically the majority? The applicants number is a good one. We tend to see anywhere from, Madison, tell me if this is a fair estimate to say, 15 to 2,000 applicants for the early stage programs that come through.
Yes. I'd say they have in past years reached up to 3,000 in some cases, but definitely a pretty good median right there.
Let's say 1,500 to 3,000. That's a big range, but somewhere within there is usually where we fall. And industry is typically the majority. We do tend to see a lot of high tech industry startups. We also have a pretty good amount of healthcare and life sciences companies that come through. Those tend to be kind of the greater side of the majority. However, that isn't to say that we don't see general social impact, and there is a fifth one that I am forgetting about. Really putting me on the spot here. However, tops are definitely high tech and healthcare, but we would love to see your application come through no matter what industry you're a part of, because again, it takes a village. It takes all different kinds. And then your follow-up question to that was, how can startups stand out in the application process, which is a great one. First off, you can come to our Meet MC event all about applications, but to just give you a little bit of a heads up here, again, I think what Madison just shared is really important, being able to think about it through this lens of high impact and high potential with how you're framing your answers to your questions on the application, with how you're just talking about your company as a whole. Where do you really see yourself going? What sort of impact is your product going to be able to make on the industry? What is your potential reach? What are your goals involved in that? Really kind of diving in through that lens is really specific, is really important, just because judges will kind of keep an eye out for that. I will also say, and this is something that I'm sharing with a lot of individuals who keep asking me a similar question, don't skip a question or put NA on something just because it isn't applicable to you. You would be surprised how many people do that in our application process, but that doesn't really tell the judges very much if you just say not applicable. Why isn't it? Why have you not been at that stage or had that conversation yet? Is whatever this question is asking you a potential for your future growth? Do you have a timeline for it? I think giving really strong, well thought out answers for each of the questions is really important, because frankly, it could set you apart from others who are also applying and answering in a not quite as intentional and thought out process. So I think with those two in particular, those would be my main tips for you. Madison, anything else to share?
I think you nailed it, Rachel.
Thank you.
And I know we also have a chat in here too about the deep tech industry, and that is absolutely an industry that you can still participate in. It's definitely one that does require more time and money. Because MassChallenge is a zero equity model, we don't take any equity from you or from your company. So it is entirely free. We don't have an application fee. So we hope that that will alleviate some costs to help you grow and scale, so you can focus your time and your money in the areas that you need it most to develop your business. So we definitely still encourage you to apply. And we work closely with other deep tech affiliated experts and organizations across the US and internationally as well.
Thank you, Madison. My question also was a bit focused on the fact we may appear further along than you would normally think of an early stage company. Electron Robotics has already participated in the 5G studio at New Lab last summer, demonstrating robotics interfacing to 5G, interfacing to mobile edge computing, and interfacing our AI. But we have a particular challenge that we're doing for autonomous general assembly. And I think that not only the MassChallenge, but the opportunities in the, for the regional things is particularly attractive.
Absolutely. And we recognize that different industries can fluctuate too with how much money is required, the stages that are required to help you grow and scale. I know that resonates if we have any healthcare life science folks on the line as well. We typically define the early stage as less than 1 million in funding, less than 2 million in annual revenue. But we do recognize that in some cases, in order to build traction at an early stage and to develop your company, your idea, your IP, and other aspects, you might have raised a little bit more than that or might have a little bit more revenue. So we do offer parts of our application for you to elaborate on those, talk about how you still think that even though you have that traction already, how you can build on that and how MassChallenge can still help you at the stage that you are at. And I will say our judges do look for that in some cases. They look for, is MassChallenge the best outlet for you to grow and scale at the point that you are at? So I definitely recommend making that case within your application for specifically what you hope to get out of MassChallenge, and where you think we can support you best at the stage that you are at in the early stage category. Is there such thing as too early stage for startup stage? That's a tough one, and that's a little bit complex. So technically, no, there's nothing is too early of stage. We designate maximums and not minimums for a reason. We don't want to restrict anyone who has not raised money yet, who is still determining their MVP, who is still really building their business from the ground up. If you can take advantage of our programs and if you find value in that, we absolutely encourage you to apply. A lot of our judges do still look for a form of traction with your business, whether that is a a solid thought out customer pain and solution model, whether there is a need, industry competitor, and a solid business plan that backs your startup and your solution. Rachel, do you have anything else to add on that too? I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, so the one big thing that I also wanted to bring up, Tiffany, it's a great question for your information and everyone else here. One of the things that we try to do is create value for startups, even in the process of applying. So even if you are in a space where in your head you're thinking, I am too early for this program, it's not the right fit for me, I would still encourage you to apply. One, because my idea about spontaneity, you never know what could happen. But even within just round one judging, which all of you who apply will go through round one judging, no questions about it. What you'll be able to do is have, I believe, 5+ different judges read through your application and provide you really thoughtful and meaningful feedback on your application. So even if you're thinking, maybe this isn't the right fit for me, you're going to be able to still apply and get some value out of that process. We have had many of our past cohort members actually apply to MassChallenge 2, sometimes 3 years in a row. And on that third time through, they're actually able and welcomed to be part of the cohort. And it's because each year they heard the feedback that the judges were telling them through their round 1 or round 2 processes. They took that into account and they came back the next year and they reflected on that and said, this was the feedback we got last year from MassChallenge judges. Here's where we're at now. Here's the progress that we've made. And it's been a really, really thoughtful and valuable process. We've even had some of those individuals go on to win awards at prior MassChallenge ceremonies too. So I would say no matter what, apply. There's no application fee. Thank you, Kristen. It definitely does take a little bit of time to go through the application process. I think 60 to 90 minutes is a good estimate. But you know what? It's having you reflect on your business. It's having you think really intentionally about how to describe your business. You can even download your application as a PDF and save it for yourself if you ever want that information for other uses. So I definitely would encourage all of you to still, no matter what you're thinking, go through, because it's always worth a try. You're very welcome. Thank you for asking the question. How we doing, y'all? I know we're at 6 minutes. We still got a few minutes if anyone else has a question, some thoughts they'd like to share. Is there only one cohort per year? Daniel, there is one early stage cohort per year. MassChallenge actually runs a couple different programs, including our health tech and fintech, which I know was mentioned up in the chat earlier, but one early stage cohort per year. Yes.
We do offer some other smaller programs as well, not necessarily on an ad hoc basis, but as industry verticals, and we work with local and national organizations to co-sponsor certain tailored programs as well. So once you create your startup profile, you'll see the opportunities that pop up with different programs that you might be able to apply to throughout the year. As you all are thinking about other questions that you may have, we're happy to continue answering them, but I do want to address the slide that was actually just up if we want to go back real quick, Jason. We want you to continue meeting MassChallenge. Oh, a little too far back. So I hope that this information session was helpful, and I hope that you seek other opportunities to get to know us a little bit more and more about our programs with some of our upcoming Meet MassChallenge series events. Our next one is an in-person event. So if you're in the Austin area, come out and join us next week. And we'll also be hosting office hours every Tuesday from 3 p.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. Central Time. And these are great opportunities to meet MassChallenge in the local area, learn more about the local network in our regions. We have Austin, and we also have Houston and North Texas coming up later in the months of April. And then we also have this MassChallenge partner fireside chat too, where you can learn a little bit more about our partner network and dive deeper into what that means with our communities that help make what we do possible. That specific panel will feature conversation with partners such as ISSNL, Fundify, and National Security Innovation Network, which all work very closely with the MassChallenge programs and startups, and also have some side opportunities for funding and cool programs that you can be part of, such as sending innovations up into space. So I hope you all will join. If you still have questions, if you want to stick around, I know that we are still here and can answer any questions that you might have. Oh, and I think there's actually one more slide too. If you want to get started on that application, here is the link to apply. I know that Bernadette had sent it in the chat earlier as well. You can contact us or learn more on our FAQ sites. But as long as you get those applications in before April 20th, you will be golden. Thank you so much.